Home and podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a home improvement podcast. My name is Adam. You'll know my co-host, Jordan. Hey, Jordan.
Adam, I was worried for a second as you were doing the intro. Someone ran up to my front door. I can see out the front door now. But it was just a FedEx person, so they just delivering a package, so everything's okay. We're good here.
That's what they want you to think. This is how you're getting into our sci-fi conversation you wanted to have. Conspiracy theories about FedEx-men. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Happy to be here talking home improvement with you on this fine Friday. We're indoors still, everybody, hopefully.
Ideally, yeah. I mean, I was out on the porch earlier this morning, but that's the extent of it right now.
Wait a minute. Hey, too far.
Draw the line.
Indoors, I've been taking it slow, reading a lot of books.
What you reading?
I just finished a short story compilation written by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. Wow. It was very, very good. Prior to that, I read an autobiography on Mike Nichols, the director. But I don't remember before that. It's been like a book every 3 or 4 days because
that's pretty good.
Got a lot of time. Watching some movies and stuff, and just laying low. Learned how to crack an egg with one hand today. So, yeah,
well, that's what we call self-improvement.
Not home improvement.
Self-improvement.
Self-podcast. And in my downtime, I've been watching a little TV, some movies, not as much as you might think, but some. And I caught the tail end of Rocky today.
Oh, the first Rocky.
Yeah, man, really good.
Great film. Haven't seen it in so long, but yeah, just it's got staying power.
That ending. Really, yeah. When I was younger, I think I always thought I like Rocky 3 the best because it's, I don't know, it's probably the most glamorous and funny and I don't know, just sort of over the top with the Mr. T and Hulk Hogan and all that stuff. But man, you catch the end of 1 and that is really, really good stuff.
Classic filmmaking right there.
It is classic filmmaking.
I watched a classic recently too, but it was not film.
What was that? What was it?
What was it? Do you want to know? I haven't
was it
really.
A talkie?
Classic talkie. No, I watched a classic basketball game. I watched in the 2000s. You got the Pacers versus the Lakers. Classic series, which is closer than most people remember, and just a dominant Shaquille O'Neal performance.
What year are we talking? Like 2002?
It was 2001, I think.
Okay,
something like that. Yeah, it was either 2000 or 2001. But yeah, you forget how they just threw the ball to Shaq and he did whatever he wanted. It was crazy. But
a little Jermaine O'Neal action?
Before Jermaine O'Neal, so you got Rick Smits and you've got Dale Davis and Austin Crozier.
Okay, yeah. Reggie.
Obviously. Well, yeah, Reggie's there. You got Jalen Rose. He's balling out as well.
Okay.
It was. I mean, they were a good Pacers team, and of course Shaq and Kobe and all that of the Lakers. But it was pretty interesting to watch the fourth quarter, and it went to overtime and whatnot. There's so many classic basketball games. Haven't really had. I wanted to watch a lot of old ones, especially from us growing up, because those are the ones you remember growing up that make you love basketball. But haven't had a lot of free time because I haven't, had kids and working and stuff. But I had time for that, so that was good. That's good. But it wasn't a classic like Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa.
No, and you said you also were maybe interested in talking a little about science fiction films, Jordan.
I can't imagine the tie-in here, with the sci-fi episode that we had. No, yeah, I found myself. We're going to talk about this episode, believe it or not, in great detail, I'm sure. But
I believe it.
Yeah, you do believe it. But it just made me think of all the classic sci-fi films that I've seen and recent or maybe ones in modern history. But I just wondered, we've talked about The Twilight Zone in some of the episodes we covered. Will the Real Martians Stand Up?
Yeah.
Some of our favorites, To Serve Man, The Monsters That Do in Maple Street. Those are sci-fi TV shows. And I was just thinking, what are some of your favorite classic sci-fi films?
it's kind of a strange thing. Admittedly, I am much less of a sci-fi guy than I am a horror fan. I do like the Twilight Zone a lot, as anyone that's listened to this consistently knows. But the real science fiction episodes are probably the ones I like the least. Like the invaders or anything kind of robotic. I'm less into that. I'm more like the horror, moralistic kind of stuff the Twilight Zone does. So when I think of sci-fi that I really like, it's funny that you asked, because last night I watched the original Alien movie for the first time, the Ridley Scott Alien. I'd never seen it. I had seen the newer ones that they're sort of related, Prometheus, and I think it's called Alien Covenant or something like that. And I liked those, so I thought I should go back and watch this original kind of classic. And I didn't get a lot out of it. I found it kind of slow and, I don't know, just sort of dull. And I think what happened is something that can happen from time to time is I have seen the movies that have ripped it off or taken things from it, and I've kind of grown up with those things like Independence Day, things like like Predator, even probably. But I've seen the copycats do it so many times that when I got back and saw the original, I was just kind of like, oh, this is it. Which isn't necessarily fair to Alien, but just kind of sometimes that's something that happens. I remember when I saw American Graffiti, which is like this coming-of-age movie that George Lucas did before Star Wars. It's very different, but kind of like, I don't know, Americana, young kids, sort of like a prototype to like a Dazed and Confused and stuff. And I was just sort of like, this is what all the hubbub is about, because I'd seen more sanitized versions that were, I guess, more appropriate to my generation. So yeah, I didn't get a lot out of Alien necessarily. That's a long answer. All of that is to say that... I
like long answers. We like context.
Sci-fi, when I think of sci-fi movies that I really liked, I used to like it more growing up. Like I just mentioned Independence Day. That's a big one. I don't know if you'd call Men in Black sci-fi.
Oh, yeah. That's on there.
I would like sci-fi that is sort of at the intersection of horror. In terms of like pure sci-fi, like I don't really get into like... I couldn't really get through Blade Runner when I tried to watch it.
Oh, man. Original or the sequel, I guess?
Original, yeah. I haven't seen 2049. I have a hard time with that stuff. And I know that there are probably examples of things that I have liked. Like I did mention the Alien, the more recent Alien stuff. But yeah, what about you? Maybe as you're talking, it'll jar my memory.
Well, I for some reason I just really like the older stuff too. Like they mentioned a couple of them in this episode, like the original, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and Forbidden Planet. Some of the very, very classic ones. I think part of the stems is it always comes back to Disney, doesn't it? At Hollywood Studios growing up, there was this restaurant that's called like the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater, and you go inside and they make it seem like it's a drive-in theater. There's all these like 50s cars, and you sit in there and they serve you food, and they just play like classic like coming attractions from all these sci-fi films from like the 50s and stuff. And maybe that's where it kind of started, but then I started to like the actual films when I watched them. And more recent ones like Arrival, I remember seeing Arrival. I thought that was pretty good.
That. Yeah.
We talked about Twilight Zone. I mean, Guardians is kind of in that vein where you get kind of the alien, fantastic sci-fi type of thing.
You talking Guardians of Ga'Hoole? Do you remember that movie?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it came out like 5-10 years ago, and it was called like Legends of the Galaxy, The Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
Wow.
And it's like an animated movie. It maybe has like an owl in it. And I always think it's funny because it's very close to Guardians of the Galaxy.
They just took the words and scrambled it up and added
it should
some
become
extra.
a lot more popular. But I remember you look up the Guardians of Ga'Hoole. I don't know what it's all about, but I remember seeing the trailer and thinking like, that's something I hope I never watch.
Did you ever, speaking of something that people probably hope they didn't watch, did you watch Mars Attacks ever when you were growing up?
I did. Well, I didn't watch it until college because I used to keep like a running list of movies that like people thought were influential or whatever. And Jack Nicholson was in it, so I watched it. I think I was too old. I think I should have watched it in the 90s.
See, I watched it too young, I think. So
okay. it's pretty ruthless. Like, I mean, those aliens are just straight up,
they're
murdering people.
They're killers.
Yeah, that's a horror. That's a sci-fi comedy that I doesn't work as well for me because I don't know if it's that funny. But,
Yeah, the maniacal Martian that just like kills everyone. I don't know.
yeah,
Doesn't work
I mean,
as
I like
good.
Jack Nicholson. He's in 2 roles. That's kind of cool. But yeah, and we can probably save our X-Files conversation until we get into the episode.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But yeah, sci-fi.
Not necessarily your bag.
Not really my bag. I try and I want it to be, but yeah, I don't know. I even like reading stuff. I'm trying to think of like real science fiction-y stuff. Like Robert Heinlein is a sci-fi guy that I had to read in college, and I don't know. It's always real technical, and I think that I'm not maybe that technical of a thinker. But that doesn't mean I'm not technically thinking.
Just barely. Yeah, I had a technological dystopia class in college that I loved that I got to watch.
What is that like? Is it like Ray Bradbury kind of stuff, or what do you?
I mean, you would see like Blade Runner would be in there. Even Wall-E. We watched Wall-E, The Matrix.
Yeah, see, I don't even really like The Matrix
Surrogates.
that much. So
I like the first Matrix. The other one's not quite as much.
Oh, I like the third one the best.
I think everyone's favorite is the third one. I don't know. I like that stuff. We also watched in that class Bicentennial
Wait, did you say
Man.
Surrogates? Is that the Bruce Willis movie?
It was, yeah. It was.
Oh, that's bad.
We would read them if there were books, and then we would watch. So we did like a Surrogates graphic novel, which was much better than the movie. We did. You would find War of the Worlds in this class, maybe. That was a book I loved.
I'll tell you a sci-fi movie that I watched recently that I liked. It was like a couple weeks ago. Time feels very different now that nobody can go outside and do anything. Feels like it was like 6 months ago. It was called Upgrade, and it's relatively new, last couple of years, and it's done by Blumhouse, the guy that normally does horror. But it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. Yeah, it's definitely sci-fi and kind of funny. So that's an example of a newer one that I liked a fair amount. So.
Well, we'd love to hear from our listeners if they are sci-fi fans, especially in light of this episode, because we're gonna get down into that in a minute here.
I did not know what I was getting into with this one. I've definitely never seen this episode before.
Gosh, I don't know if I have or not, but it's interesting. And we're talking about episode 173, Believe It or Not. This one, written by John Vandergriff. He last did Bright Christmas. If you recall, that's when Lillian hooked up with Parker. Parker, the man who helped him on the roof, and Jill had some problems with that because, of course, he was replacing the Colonel.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's been a while.
I think you titled one Parker, I Barely Know Her or something.
Sounds about right. That's better than anything I have this week.
This one aired April 28th, 1998, and yeah, let's get to alternative titles.
Well, I gotta say, Believe It or Not is a pretty poor title.
Yeah, it doesn't do much.
At least
for
do
me.
Wilson's Believe It or Not, like a
yeah,
Ripley thing.
like Ripley. My first one, I don't know how many you have, but I have 3. And my first one, they kind of said in the episode, but I wrote it before I even watched the episode, so I kept it in.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Alienating Wilson.
It's
It's
good
too.
idea by you. Good idea.
Yeah,
good idea by them.
Vandergriff and me, we're two minds.
Well, you two have always kind of thought on the same wavelength. I don't think Vandergriff had this one in the episode. UF. Whoa!
He should have.
Yeah.
My next 2, believe it or not, are Grant Hill based, so get ready for that.
Okay. Yep.
An uphill battle.
That's good. I'll give you my Grant Hill one. It's kind of apropos of nothing. I'll grant you that.
Okay, here's my last one. Taking Wilson for granted.
Yeah, right. I mean, I had to do something. These last ones, I definitely... UFO was my high point, so I should have saved it. Otherworldly Wilson.
All right.
Oh, you want me to go again?
Oh, yeah, I don't have any more. I'm sorry.
This one's kind of lame. It's just like a ripoff of the X-Files. Tim Wants to Believe. Because in X-Files, you have that poster with the alien, I Want to Believe. Last one. I don't even know what to do with this. University Side.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad, I don't know. Okay, we're going to get into this episode. It's intriguing. We open on Tool Time.
This episode has a lot going on.
It sure does. It sure does.
Sometimes we say there's not enough. This one, maybe too much.
We'll see. Opening on Tool Time, the hosts are lounging around. This week, they've been talking about things that make men's lives easier. And today is a salute to remote controls.
Yeah.
And Heidi brings out a TV, and they kind of pan to the TV. So they've recorded something in the same outfits that they're wearing now, and they're kind of talking to the TV, but in person. I'm not describing this well, but they're interacting with their TV selves in real time. How about that?
Yeah.
You like that?
I mean, yeah. I think you're making it more complicated than it is. But yeah, you're doing good. Keep going.
All right, so Tim brings out, I mean, there's a lot of remote control stuff here that we don't want to talk about, but Tim brings out a remote control blimp, an early drone, you could say.
Modern drone. Yep.
Modern drone.
Well, we would call it now, what we would call now.
Okay, I gotcha. They do some Hindenburg jokes. I think we all knew that was coming, at least. And then they kind of move on to another remote control.
Well, hey, pause.
Oh, you want to talk about the Hindenburg?
Well, it's pretty stupid. I mean, we should draw attention to it. So the drone goes like backstage, and it has a camera on it, and there's a guy like flirting with a girl smoking, and then Tim says, "Put out the cigarette," and then it explodes. So it's dumb.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was sophisticated.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Then I guess if that's the new bar, then yeah, me too.
The episode maybe gets more sophisticated than that, I would say. But new remote control reality. They move on to more remote control. They're going to do basketball, and you can put on these glasses, which just look like average sunglasses, and they go one-on-one with Grant Hill. Grant walks on out. He's looking good. Former Piston. Sad to see him go. And
he's still alive, though. He's
no,
not dead.
no, but he was just one of those players that.
Although many would say that when he left the Pistons, his career kind of died.
Well, not really any fault of his own.
No,
more injury based. But we're not on an NBA podcast, are we?
No, but we're also not on a sci-fi podcast. So when things come up, we got to do it.
All right, put on the sunglasses, and he gets a tactile glove. Had a real Ready Player One vibe going on. And Tim...
That's a sci-fi movie that is okay, I guess.
A book was better, I think?
I don't know, yeah.
Okay. Tim is setting Al up, and out steps Grant Hill. We talked about that. Al has some decent handles here. He's like dribbling the basketball in circles and stuff.
Oh, I don't know if they're decent. He's dribbling the ball up and down. I don't know if we need to praise him
He's
for that.
better than Stanley from The Office.
Oh, yeah, Stanley's really bad. Yeah, I can see Stanley. The basketball seemed a little flat.
Did it?
Yeah. Or maybe he just was purposely not dribbling it very hard, but it seemed a little flat.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a really bad joke here about, like, Grant Hill blocks him and says, I guess flannel man can't jump.
Yeah. Grant Hill has a couple one-liners. I'm going to talk about Grant Hill in a second, but not an actor. Let's just say that much.
In a lot of commercials, though.
Yeah, I don't know. They were able to get more out of him than Vandergriff was, I
feel
guess.
like he delivers his lines earnestly. They're just terrible lines.
Maybe that's it, yeah.
Yeah, he also, Al, goes in again to try to defeat virtual Grant Hill and is knocked over. And impressed by the experience, I would say.
Yeah, okay. It's a pretty long opening scene, or maybe it just took you a really long time to get through it. I have some things to say. First, they come out in bathrobes. Where do you stand on bathrobes? This does not have to be long.
I do not have one.
Okay, all right. I'm pro bathrobe. All right, next. Tim drops two pretty sexist things in the first 30 seconds. I don't remember what they were, but the second one does elicit the Tim address thing. So bad start for him.
And jokes about Al's mom, I believe, or is that later?
Yeah, it's a bad start for him. He's pretty unlikable here in the beginning. What else?
Hugh Hefner reference?
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. VR. I felt like I had more to say. Oh, did you? I mean, did you like the VR gag? Do you think it was funny?
I don't know. Would Al fall for that? I didn't find it too believable.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty stupid. I kind of thought it was funny. Okay, so now I want to talk about Grant Hill. Man, I loved Grant Hill.
Baller.
When I was probably this age. He's
Who
the
didn't?
best. Yeah, right. I mean, like he was like the
Pistons
face of
were not very good.
No, he was like the young face of the Pistons, and he came in and kind of had success right away. Relatively speaking, this was the Jordan era.
Incredibly versatile basketball player. Could pass, could shoot, could run the break, all that stuff.
Yeah, good.
Defense.
7-time NBA All-Star, All-NBA First Team 1997, 4-time NBA Second Team, had success as a rookie from the Pistons 94 to 2000, Magic 2000 2007, Phoenix Suns, and Clippers. Well, Phoenix Suns for 5 years and then Clippers to end his career, and now he is the vice chair of the board for the NBA. So he's still very much involved, and I think he owns partial ownership in the Hawks. So I always thought he was seemed like a good guy, kind of professional, and has gone on to find success.
Well, he's
outside of the league.
He's also an announcer. He'll do college and NBA stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
is he good? Is he good?
He's not bad. No, I think he does a lot more college games, if I recall.
Yeah.
I like him better than. I mean, this is getting down a very big rabbit hole, but Chris Webber on NBA calls.
Yeah, I've definitely heard him.
Oh my gosh, he always says the same. I can't remember the catch, the way he phrases stuff, but it's pretty bad. But Chris Webber, another Michigan guy,
Heck yeah. I just cannot say enough how big of a fan I probably was of Grant Hill in 1998.
I would say
posters, jerseys, yeah.
Yeah, it was honestly everywhere. I remember my uncle at the time. He loved Grant Hill too. So, all right. Well, I'm sad now. So.
Well, don't worry. The Pistons have gone. The Pistons are in a really bright spot right now, and they definitely have a lot of money into a guy that seems not too injury prone. So it should work out.
All. Yeah, at least we had Grant before he got injury prone.
That's true. Next scene. Tim flies his blimp. Should we play our clip here? I don't know.
I think so.
Okay, let's just go ahead and play a clip.
Did I scare you, Wilson?
Well, not you. It's that flying baked potato.
Well, the manufacturer says it looks like an alien spaceship. I think it looks like a big Jiffy Pop container.
I tend to agree with you. A real spaceship would have some form of internal propulsion.
Right. It should look more like a saucer.
Yeah, kind of an iridescent glow.
Have a low hum.
Yeah, and 26 little diamond-shaped windows all in a row.
What flying saucer are you talking about? One on a forbidden planet or the day the Earth stood still?
Oh, I wasn't talking about a movie.
What were you talking about?
Well, nothing. Oh, look at the rain. Looks like it's going to come.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Were you talking about a real UFO?
Maybe.
Have you seen a real UFO?
Maybe.
Come on, it's just us out here.
Maybe. Tim, I've never told anybody this, but one night when I was living with my parents outside the Turkish city of Cappadocia, I saw an alien craft land.
Did you see little green men come out of it?
No. These men were bluish gray. Assuming they were men. I didn't see any sexually distinguishing features.
Well, you had just met.
Oh, I tell you, it was an amazing thing. I'll never forget it.
Well, how'd the night go? Some cocktails and a quick probe?
Tim, I never should have told you about this.
No. I'm sorry, Wilson. I understand completely what happened. Have you been inside shellacking all day? If you don't get enough ventilation, it can really, I do that. I think I'm Aquaman.
So Tim flies the blimp into Wilson's yard, scares him bad. Wilson didn't see this coming. It almost seemed like this was like he really got scared. I guess it's just good acting. I don't know.
Seems like maybe Wilson just had a nightmare about UFOs or something.
I noticed Tim has a massive remote that he's using for the blimp. It's like 3 feet long. It's very long. Quickly things sort of evolve from the blimp into a conversation about Wilson seeing a real UFO when he was living in Turkey. I didn't write down the city, but it's close to Cappuccino because they do that a couple times. Trying to think. I wrote down a note here. I don't know what it means. Sexual features joke is good. I don't know.
Oh, I think they talk about, like, how'd you know it was a man or something.
Oh, yeah, and he's like, well, you just met him or something.
Yeah.
Wilson describes in great detail the encounter, but Tim just thinks Wilson's kind of lost it. He thinks, this is too much for me. And that's basically it, you know?
Yeah, he's really making light of it here.
Yeah, he's not being very respectful.
And Wilson right away says, like, I shouldn't have told you. So if he's sorry now, just wait.
Seriously.
All right.
I feel like we talked about aliens a lot in an early episode of Home and Podcast, so I don't know if we need to do it again.
Flying sauces, maybe?
That sounds about right. I mean, I'm going to definitively say that I believe in aliens. And I think the truth is out there. And watching this episode got me on a Wikipedia page where I looked at every UFO sighting in the U.S. In the history of the U.S. and I found some pretty interesting things. So.
Well, and we're going to post them all on Twitter. How about that?
I'm just going to go on a message board.
Okay. You're going to record... This is going to be your YouTube channel, like, launch point right here.
Yeah, I've been looking for it in, so I guess I finally got it. Well, go ahead.
All right, so we move into the next scene where we've got Brad, and he's checking out some college catalogs, and Randy comes in. He sees some, like, exotic locations, and he's wondering, like, what are you doing? Before Brad tells him what his plan is. Jill comes in, she's encouraged. I mean, there's not much more there. Like, Brad's looking at exotic colleges, you know. We're going to get more of that later, but they introduce it here.
He does say, in case my
soccer scholarship doesn't work out.
Falls through.
Yeah, well, you know, being proactive. I like it. Jill comes in. She's encouraged by him looking at stuff. Tim comes in with Wilson's news. So this is, like, presumably just happening. You know, he just came in and shares Wilson's news. Randy and Tim are skeptical, and Jill says, not so fast. Just like Lee Corso?
Hey, you tell me. Not watching a lot of college football, sorry.
That's really the beginning here. You've got Randy and Tim on the same side, and you got Jill saying, you know, open your mind a little bit, or maybe, I don't even know if that's her angle by the end of this episode, so much as, like, don't be a jerk.
Yeah, just, like, kind of be respectful, I guess, would be her thesis. What do I have here? Okay, Tim makes, like, an Iwo Jima community college joke.
Crowd loves it.
I didn't mind it. Also, this Brad college thing, Boy Meets World would copy this about 4 years, maybe 5 years later. There's an episode where Eric, like, has to tour a college, and it's called, like, Beach University, and he goes there, and there's a lot of partying going on. So, there's that.
We talked about the lovely weather down here, so I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, hey, you know what? You went to school in East Lansing, and I went to school in Kalamazoo, and then I went to school in DeKalb. All beautiful, beautiful, great weather places.
In the summer, it was beautiful, that's for sure.
Could be, yeah, could be. If you could just get there.
No promises.
Yeah. I was also going to say, aliens are... You feel like aliens were, like, kind of more popular in the 90s?
Well, we're
talking about aliens.
I think it goes in waves. So it depends on what TV shows are popular. So right now you're talking about X-Files, you know, in the 90s. So in Independence Day and all that kind of stuff. I feel like there was kind of a small renaissance when you had, like, Ancient Aliens come on History Channel, because that was a wild ride for people. But yeah, maybe more popular. I guess I wasn't in the alien zeitgeist in the 90s, you know, so it's hard for me to measure.
I don't know. I mean, we were young, but I remember... I don't know why. I remember, like, being at school and drawing a lot of aliens.
Oh, well, that was kind of your thing.
No, it wasn't. I hope it wasn't.
That's how I first came to know you. I was like, this is this weirdo drawing.
Someone gave me one of my alien drawings.
That's why I wouldn't hang out with you. I'd say, I have chores to do. It's because you kept trying to show me your alien drawings.
You thought I was an alien. I remember vividly being in third grade and drawing pictures of aliens with friends. I think they were friends.
In quotes.
They said they were.
They had green heads and really big eyes.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. And then I, like, don't remember what happened afterwards. Okay, next scene. Hardware store. Been a minute.
Been a while, yeah.
No Harry. He's got the flu.
Poor guy.
Yeah, stinks. Benny, Marty, Tim, Al. You know, the voice. Tim very quickly starts talking about aliens. Gross joke by Benny where he's like, I hope that there's other life so I could make it with another species.
He says, okay, you're delivering it.
No, that's what he says.
But it's basically Benny's only chance at love. Is kind of the joke. Like, no human would ever love him.
I took it as like he's just looking to get some strange,
Maybe,
I guess.
I don't know. I actually thought this was a pretty funny scene. There's some good writing in this scene.
Okay,
So.
all right.
Benny does get turned on as Marty and Tim start making jokes.
Don't defend Benny.
No,
okay?
it's just kind of funny.
Tim starts talking about Wilson, and tells the other guys. The guys kind of start poking fun. Wilson conveniently enters.
Speak of the devil.
At that exact moment, and Tim swears them to secrecy, but very quickly they start kind of teasing him. The jokes are not that funny, although maybe you thought they were because
No,
you said you liked this
I like
scene.
the jokes before this.
Okay,
but
single some out.
Well, I don't know. They do. Benny says like extra. Or they say extraterrestrials, and he says he basically thinks it's testicles. I don't know that, and then like the Benny's only chance at love. I don't know. I think those are kind of funny. But
you did like the Benny saying he wants to make it with another species.
Let's watch it again, and you're gonna have a very different perspective.
Replay the tape. Wilson's mad, and he gets ready to storm off. Tim says, "I only told 9 people," but then the mailman comes in. The mailman is the "I don't go in for that sort of thing" guy.
Yep.
And he says it's a really bad joke. It's like
you're Martian. Something about Martian.
It's like an Ed McMahon joke, but it's Ed McMartian.
Oh.
And I wondered if it was a purposefully bad joke, or did they think it was funny?
I think that's just Milton's type of jokes. That's his name as a character. I don't know. That's his real name, but
yeah,
good to see him get another character to play.
Yeah, I did some research on him, and I couldn't really find out why he's in so many episodes, but I did find out he passed away in 2013.
Oh.
He's pretty young, so sad to see that.
Bummer.
Yeah. All right, next scene. Go ahead, Jordan.
You want something real quick? We go back outside, and Tim is he's flying his blimp pretty high, going over to Wilson's yard to try to get him to come out. Because apparently in this time, like, Wilson has just given Tim the cold shoulder.
Wilson's kind of sulking a little bit.
I mean, Tim's kind of a jerk, and then to be ridiculed by everyone else, I don't know.
Yeah,
He told him in confidence. This is a very sensitive thing for Wilson.
Yeah.
Although you think that Wilson's probably had people think he's weird a lot in his life.
Every day of his life.
Yeah, but this really does a problem.
But your own neighbor, you know?
It's not so neighbor. It says love thy neighbor, not ridicule thy neighbor.
Indeed, yes.
Wilson instead destroys the blimp with an arrow.
That wasn't Wilson, that was Mimi Siku.
I thought it was, what are the people from Man of the House called? What's their little group called?
George Wendt and company.
That one guy who's silent the whole time?
Oh, yeah, that guy's a freak. I can't remember what they're called. Like Young Explorers or something, right?
I don't remember, but if you want to hear that whole episode, go to Patreon.
Yeah. Well, we should save our new Patreon donor for next week's episode. He can sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Home. Brad is watching a college. He's watching he's watching something on TV, and someone is like,
Jill says it looks like a travel catalog.
Yeah, it looks like a travel catalog, and he's like, no, this is a college recruiting video. Tim and Jill walk in, and they basically have the same conversation that they had earlier about aliens and extraterrestrials. And basically, the thing that it comes down to is Tim doesn't need to believe in it, but he needs to, maybe find out a little bit more and be able to engage with Wilson and talk about it, sort of respect where he comes from.
Make a gesture. Jill is not, she's not super thrilled by this video until she hears there's a psych program at University of Maui.
And who could blame her?
Who could blame her? She's gonna. She's if she's gonna really be taking school for the rest of her life, which it seems like she might as well do it in Maui. There's at the end of the scene too. Tim kind of goes on like a classic like Tim Allen comedic rant about extraterrestrials. Did you notice that?
No.
It's like he had a bunch of material that he wanted to get out right now.
Oh, really? Is this the scene where he's like, Randy and I are the only sensible ones, and Randy's like, don't group me with you?
No, it's a little bit later.
Well, it's
wait, no, maybe that
happens.
is now.
Well, whenever it happens, I liked it.
It certainly happens. Yeah, it is true. Later, Brad is checking out another catalog.
I kind of like this joke. This was the only one that I thought was funny.
Mark comes along and he thinks it's like the swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated or something.
Yeah.
And Brad's like, no, it's a catalog. And he says, even the dean, like something about the dean.
He's like, they let girls walk around campus like that? And Brad says, it's the dean.
Yeah, so
and I thought that was funny.
The dean is in a bikini or something is the joke.
Yeah.
So
Tahiti Tech.
Tahiti Tech. Sounds like a fun place.
That sounds like a place you could get your degree online.
Well, if you're going online, what's the point of being there?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
All right, well, that was a short scene, so I can take the next one too.
Please.
Randy gets Tim on the internet. They're in the basement boys.
The scene was a little bit dated. 103,000 hits for UFO.
Well, it was 103,000 websites. So
Yeah.
I was gonna type in like UFO to see what came up, but they don't do it by website as much anymore.
Okay.
It's results.
Yeah.
So there would be a billion results.
Yeah.
They go into a chat room.
Yeah.
A place you and I spent a lot of time in the 90s.
Randy knows all about chat rooms from when he catfished that woman.
He spent a lot of time downstairs.
Yeah.
In the chat rooms as well. They kind of move on to like later in the scene, and Tim has been spending hours searching.
Yeah.
And Randy's just kind of laying in his bed, relaxing, like saying, "Why don't you use the computer upstairs or something?" Is probably what he's wondering. But Tim's starting to take it seriously, and Randy is not so much. And he says, "There's some strange things out here you can't explain. There's a strange noise that happens right at that time, and it's Mark's bowel movement." So, great joke there. Later still,
Randy's like sleeping. It's pretty weird.
Randy's fast asleep, no shirt on. All the girls loved it.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah.
And
That's doing something for somebody. Yeah.
Tim is at the computer. He's also asleep, and now starts a bit of a dream. I don't know if this is a lucid dream for Tim or not. I'm not sure if he's trying to make this happen, but there's an X-Files ripoff coming, and
Boy, I was surprised by this.
Yeah, when I was doing research before I watched the episode, I saw that this was coming. I saw the ABC Taylor.
I mean, I
thing.
knew that. Okay, so when it starts, it's like faces, and they're, I thought they were sort of. I didn't know it was going to be such a direct ripoff or homage, however you want to sort of credit it. But man, when they get into the like side yard and Jill has the the haircut of Scully, and they're like, dude, man, I was really surprised.
And they're like using the lines from the show. Truth is out there, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't notice this in the moment, but the bio is like, I heard the joke, but it didn't land for me. But her name is ABC Taylor because his name is ABC Taylor because they thought that Duchovny's like Fox Mulder was because the show was on Fox and Home Improvement's on ABC.
What a sweet
it's a bad joke.
What a sweet joke.
I mean, I didn't get it, so I guess it
must have been a popular thing that people on these chat rooms were talking about.
I've
in the
never
90s.
heard that before. I'm not even sure if that's true, but maybe it was like a pervasive thought. But
you watched a lot of X-Files?
Maybe I have seen the first couple seasons and then like a couple of episodes from the later years. And so, yeah, I mean, like, again, kind of like with Twilight Zone, like, I have certainly enjoyed some X-Files episodes, but the ones that I like are sort of the scarier, more horror ones, as opposed to like the sci-fi ones. There's a really scary one. I wish I remembered what it was called, where there's like it's like an inbred family, and there's someone under the bed the whole time. It's very scary. There's some really, really good episodes, and I do like it. I think it's cool. It's got like a very cool vibe and stuff, but I'm not a super fan, but I have enjoyed it from time to time. What about you?
I actually have never seen 1 second of the show. So,
Really?
How do you like that? I probably was, you talk about the scary episodes, I probably was too scared to watch it.
I mean, it was, I remember when it was on, and it was very popular, and of course the opening music was very popular as well. I bet you would like it,
Probably.
based on what you've been saying.
Yeah, I probably would like it.
I watched the first 2 seasons a couple years ago, and like most things, it's kind of dated and stuff, but it's got like a cool vibe and very like atmospheric and stuff. But yeah, I was pretty surprised by this spoof because this is like Naked Gun level sort of spoofing, and we haven't seen Home Improvement really do quite this direct of a ripoff before.
Yeah, have we seen that anywhere? I'm trying to think.
I mean, obviously, like, episode titles, they do it all the time, but trying to think of, like, where they would very much, like, take something from a movie. Not like this, no. I mean, no, not like this. I mean, like, they're copying lines, haircuts, so on and so forth. So it was very interesting, I guess. I didn't dislike it, nor did I like it. I guess it was, something new, which I always kind of appreciate. But
yeah, well, they end the scene by going.
I mean,
into
like, the content in this scene is kind of stupid. Like, it doesn't really go anywhere. You know?
Yeah, no, it's just Tim is now thinking of aliens. So they go into
like,
the basement.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Tim hits his head, right? Like the old gag.
Yeah. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and they go into Randy's room, and it's an alien. Or Randy is like turning green. Pretty weird.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Pretty weird.
But it's a dream.
I like the end of the scene where Tim wakes up and then Randy wakes up and he's like yelling and he says, "Put a shirt on."
Put a shirt on. I was like, Dad, I'm sleeping.
That was the best part of the scene for me.
All right, next scene, Tool time. Professional roofer there.
Didn't catch his name?
I know his name, and his name in the show is Roofer Tony. Played by Bill Ferrell, not to be confused with Will Ferrell.
Billy.
29 credits to his name, best known for The Princess Diaries, The Shield, The Young and the Restless, and Blue Streak, which I think is something we both like.
Yeah, that sounds like a Patreon episode.
I do like Blue Streak.
I watched that a lot. It was always on TBS.
I think it's been on a lot throughout our lives. Yes.
Yeah, it was always on TV. The scene is interesting because I think it opens with a joke that we didn't get. It seemed like. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, it's always weird when that happens. It's like Polly want a lawyer.
Yeah, we love Polly want a lawyer.
Which, is iconic for me. Professional roofer. There's some roofing jokes. Basically, the scene, it's sort of, I don't know, it just sort of is a stopgap or it's a sort of a way to transition between the dream and the ending.
I gotta say, Tim is a master, segue artist because
he's good. Yeah.
He goes from roofing to aliens like no other. He's like, you spent a lot of time on the roof. You never noticed anything weird?
The scene ends with some jokes about Al potentially being an alien.
Yeah, I mean, the first two letters of alien are AL.
Yeah.
And apparently Al's mom is so big she could be the mothership.
Okay, yeah. Not so hot. Yeah, not too funny to me. Final scene here. Well,
second,
I guess. Tim and Wilson finally have that reconciliation at the fence. Tim is sort of engaging Wilson. He's talking about Roswell, and Wilson's like, "What do you know about Roswell?" It's like, everybody knows that. That's not trivia. That was weird.
Wilson's ears perk up like he's heard a dog whistle.
Wow, what a deep triv. And they Tim says some other things, and they sort of bond. At the end, Tim says, I'm still not sure one way or the other.
Just wait till he talks to you.
Yeah, I could convince him the truth is out there. Somehow Tim's like, talks about something in Wilson, and he's like, and it was something from Tim's dream, and Wilson knew about it. And Wilson said, "Yeah, Jill told me about your dream." And then Tim says, "I didn't tell Jill." And then they look up to the sky, and there's alien noises.
We didn't talk about this too before we get to the last scene, but there's a lot of at the end of scenes they do the.
Yeah, you want to talk about the alien in the bathtub?
Alien transitions. Yeah. They're on point. Let's just say that.
The alien in the bathtub was pretty good. Yeah, we should have drawn attention to that. Last scene, go ahead and take it, Jordan.
Grant Hill's back. It's Grant and Tim, and continuing the alien thread. It's amazing how they've made every conversation about aliens in the weirdest way. But Grant thinks MJ is an alien. I mean, obviously he hasn't seen Space Jam. It's kind of the opposite, but whatever.
This is after Space Jam too, right?
Is it right around the same time?
I'd have thought Space Jam 96 or something. So
it's pretty close.
98, yeah.
It says MJ's an alien, Shaq 2. I mean, who names their kid Shaquille O'Neal? Dennis Rodman. Tim's like, yeah, you're right.
The Dennis Rodman joke was so lame.
I mean, what do you expect from this? I think the bar is a bit high for you.
This is true. Okay, maybe the Shaquille O'Neal joke was really lame.
And then there's a joke. Grant's like, don't tell him I'm on to him. And Tim says, how do I know that you're not an alien? He said, I never said I wasn't. And then they look up again, just like Wilson and Tim.
Yeah, they kind of reused that. Roll credits fade to black. UF. Whoa! Castle's Corner, Jordan, what do you make of this one?
It's really up and down, I would say. It's a roller coaster ride. Like, as far as like having something interesting that's not focused so much on the boys, I guess I was interested to see where this would go and what they would do with it and whatnot. I don't necessarily love what they pulled off, but let's see. Going through it, Grant Hill. I love seeing Grant Hill. I do not like the jokes they made him say. They were terrible. They were so bad.
We should have given the Dangerfield jokes, you know?
Yeah. Where's the Dangerfield? I mean, Dangerfield wrote those jokes, I'm sure. But
yeah.
Brad checking out catalogs, I think it works one time, but when you do it 3 times,
yeah,
I don't know. Like you said, I think there's some funny stuff to be had in there, like when Mark comes and sees it and whatnot. But yeah, it's overall not particularly interesting. Pretty sad we didn't get to see Harry. I feel like Harry in Harry's Hardware, he brings a lot to the table, so him not being there,
yeah,
I don't know, whatever. I did. You don't like these jokes, but I thought the Benny jokes that they were having at the start before Wilson walks in were pretty funny to me. Maybe even chuckled out loud at him. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Can't believe it.
Other than that, I don't know, UFO stuff, there's not a lot to it. But Wilson played a good angry guy, I felt like.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's a high for me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think interesting is a good way to describe it. There's a lot going on. You'd be happy normally if you got one of these elements in an episode, whether it be Grant Hill, aliens, or even Brad college beach jokes. I'm not... Yeah, I think you're right, where it's like things didn't really come together in a real effective way. There were some high points along the road. I don't know. I like the UFO stuff. I guess it's just kind of funny. Feels very 90s, but Wilson being into UFOs is a good character turn. And the X-Files stuff, I guess I liked, even if it is nothing more than just kind of a relic of 90s parody and what was popular at the time. It's not that funny, but it was kind of interesting to see them do that. The Brad College jokes, I liked the Dean one quite a bit. That was probably the biggest laugh I got in the episode. Happy to see Grant Hill, like you said, very, very bad lines of dialogue. Not Grant's fault, but they just don't give him much to do. I actually thought the VR thing was kind of funny at first, so I'll put that as a high as well. But yeah, I mean, and even Tim by the computer and the kind of dated 90s stuff, I think that the episode's probably not that good, but maybe I just had nostalgia for, I don't know, early internet conspiracy theories, UFOs, drawing aliens with my friends in 3rd grade. I don't know. I had a pretty good time watching this, even though I probably wouldn't say it was a great episode. So.
Yeah, I had more fun watching it than quite a few episodes we've watched recently, so I guess that's something going for it. Low expectations, and it over-delivered.
That's right. I mean, will this be in a top three for the year?
No.
Hey, we'll find out pretty soon. You spoiled it. No, wait. We'll find out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think we're down to like 3 episodes in the season or something.
Crazy.
Wild. All right, well, I'm not going to do the whole social media spiel because I want to call out specifically, just one call to action. If you want to, you can support us. Go to patreon.com/HomeandPodcast. And for as little as $1 a month, you can get our bonus episodes, including First Kid, which is coming up next. So get ready for that. Adam?
Yes.
What's happening on Twitter?
So, yeah, like I said last week, I'm not on Twitter a ton these days just because it's all kind of doom and gloom. So I don't have as many updates as normally. But poll... Which of Tim's brothers is the coolest? So we got Jeff, Marty, and Steve, who we never see. All right. 19% said Jeff is the coolest. 38.1% said Marty's the coolest. And 42.9% was Steve, who we never actually see. So there you go. What do you make of that?
Wow. They like the idea of Steve better than the real idea.
Well, I think maybe they just don't like the real life Jeff and Marty too much.
Wow. That's an interesting poll, that's for sure.
Somebody asked Richard Karn, was there ever a time on Home Improvement when you had to use or demonstrate a tool that you weren't comfortable with? Karnman says, never. All tools were made with the intention of function. So, I don't know, kind of a humble brag? Karn, you're saying you never met a tool you couldn't use?
He's obviously not like us. Weren't you supposed to do a poll on something stupid?
Yeah, I didn't do it. I forgot.
Oh, dang it. Still time.
Someone reached out and told me that they don't think Jonathan Taylor Thomas is the astronaut on The Masked Singer, but I didn't get into a debate because I never watched it. So.
I will say my mom did text me, and she was like, you have to watch. I really think it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Well, if it's him, I'll watch that clip. And
what makes people really think it's him? I guess
I have no idea. I don't even understand the show. Ask your mom.
I didn't want to get into it because I want to know as little about the show as possible.
Yeah, I know. It's sometimes you just don't really want to open those kind of boxes. Yeah, that's really it. So follow us on Twitter for the fun.
And boy, is it fun. Adam, can you imagine what we're going to cover next week?
I mean, no, I never really know. That's what makes it fun, Jordan.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you don't really know what they could even talk about anymore. Although we know that Al's love life is going to be coming back into play soon. You know?
It has to, yeah. I mean, like, end of the season, 3 episodes left. These are not generally the best episodes, Getting to the end of the 8th season of Home Improvement.
They don't really do, like, cliffhangers for season finales, really.
Not for sitcoms, no. It would be funny if they did. Jill leaves Tim at the end of season 8. It's like, I don't know if they're going to stay together.
Come back. Well, the next episode is titled Rebel Without Night Driving Privileges.
Whoa!
I gotta say, that's about as bad as one of our really bad alternative titles, I think.
That's terrible. Rebel with... I mean, I know what it's... whatever. All right. Well, I look forward to talking about that episode then. Jordan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening. And I guess I should say, take care.
Take care, everybody.